Hello everyone, hi, how are you guys doing? Welcome back to another episode reaction to Hannibal. This is Her Life, my name is Matt. What's up? So, Hannibal. Okay, wild shit is happening. So, last episode on Hannibal, Hannibal was caught. And more than him being caught, like Jack said, it was less about being caught and it was more about him just surrendering. Okay, I enjoyed that a lot, so Hannibal just decided, you know what? I'm just gonna give up because whatever life I could have, like being on the run and being like quote unquote free, what's the point if my boy Will is not here with me? Will was like, I don't wanna know what you're up to. I don't wanna know where you are. I don't wanna know anything about you. And then Hannibal is just like, okay, I'm just gonna give myself up. I'm gonna be behind bars and you'll always know where I am. So sure, Hannibal eventually did give everything up for love, and isn't that beautiful? More importantly, like while I was doing the review for that episode, I did happen to see the title for the next episode, which is this episode, and the title is The Great Red Dragon. And more than that, there's other episodes like And the Woman Clothed with the Sun and The Beast from the Sea. Like, there's other titles around that I see right there. So if that is indicative of anything to me, I think that Hannibal is now about to enter book territory, and there was like a little bit of a confirmation that I got from people in the YouTube comments. And so basically this whole series is a complete reimagining of the source material rather than an adaptation, in a similar way to comic book movies use the respective comics and characters within those comics as inspiration to tell an original story. So the show takes place in a completely separate universe from the books or movies. I mean, I kind of figure that, because even in the show, they don't tell you based on the novel Red Dragon. They tell you characters based on the characters from the novel Red Dragon, which is a weird roundabout way of saying these characters are the same characters, kind of. You know, Hannibal Lecter is Hannibal Lecter, but whatever we do with those characters is kind of... We take some liberties, you know? And based on what people have told me in comments, it really does feel like they had some liberties in what they were doing. So, but the thing is that I never knew to what extent it was loosely based on the source material, and how much of it was just like, whatever, it doesn't matter. This comment says, you're not entirely off the mark in the sense that Red Dragon is the book the show has up to this point taken the most inspiration from in terms of characters and themes. So reaching this point is a significant milestone in that it's finally directly covering the premise of its source material and introducing the character it's named after, though it still radically reimagines the plot and events within that source material. Okay, so even though we are going to start seeing what the fuck Red Dragon is, which is the name of the book, it's still gonna be like the whatever version that they decided to tell. So it's still not gonna be an adaptation, because it would be difficult to tell an adaptation if you had like 33 episodes of something else and then be like, okay, now we're gonna be faithful. You know, it'll be difficult if you did that. So that makes a lot of sense. So now that Hannibal has been, well, caught, now that he surrendered, he, I believe, is behind bars. Will is chilling in his house. Jack is back. Everyone seems to have come to a resolution. Mason died too, so that's good, except for the fact that we'll never hear Karl ever again. Dude, okay, so while I was editing previous episode, I was like, okay, hold on. So when I was editing it, I made a conscious effort to leave every instance of Mason saying Karl in the final cut for the YouTube reaction bit. So if you watch the reaction, I think I left every instance of Karl said. I could have missed like a couple, but I think I left every single one of them. And it rounded up to about like 15 Karls. Which in a show whose episode length is like, give me a second. Yeah, like 42 minutes. How many Karls per minute on average is that? That would mean that a Karl was said on average like once every like 2.5 minutes, more or less. Sorry, I'm not good at math, but Karl was said enough. If anyone is watching this and anyone has done the math, please let me know how many times Mason said Karl this season, and I want to know what is the episode average, okay? That's really fun for me. I want to know that so much because I'm pretty sure that the episode average must be like 10. You know, in the 3 episodes that he was in. Alright, so we're fucking around too much. We should start. It's also like 9 p.m. It's late for me. So let us begin. So Karl, season 3, episode 9. No, not 9, 8. Fucking Hannibal, episode 8, season 3, but the Great Red Dragon. Let's go. That was the most scuffed intro. I even forgot to plug in the Patreon. Check out the link on screen. You can watch early episodes and full-length reactions. There we go. Bye. Episode, go. Are you some kind of cop or military? The Great Red Dragon, like a retrospective. This man is contemporaries as a madman. I have no idea what the fuck any of that was. So here's the thing. The show has so many like visual filters to it that it's difficult to actually make up details. I spent so much time trying to figure out whether or not Mads Mikkelsen's ass was blurred previous episode. Yo, what's that? That looks pretty sick. And I don't even know what I was looking at. I have a question. What direction does Brian Fuller swing? Because like, I feel like we got a lot of scenes like this. This might be an important character. Was that a tattoo? What's up with you, bro? We're gonna see a dragon in someone's back. Please be someone's back. Yo, what's up with that lady? Alright, that's what that's what's up. Is it a dragon in someone's back? Is it the Great Red Dragon? The mirror is broken. My god, the theatrics of this show are getting out of control. Okay, so some dude that just saw a painting and he was like, yo, I want that shit on my back. And I don't know what the teeth were. I mean, it looks like an intimidating dragon. It's an intimidating picture, but I think I still prefer Curious Dragon, so. I would assume that this is inside of his mind while he's in his cell, and he's just sitting with his eyes closed just thinking about this scene. Oh, it's them again! We haven't seen them in so long! The Touchwood Boys! Is that kid auto-tuned? It sounds like he's auto-tuned. This sounds like Vocaloid, actually. This doesn't sound like a person singing, it sounds like a machine. Hatsune Miiku's Haruya, that's what we're listening to right now. 3 years later. Oh, time skip, let's go! But it's not too long of a time skip, it's just enough. Telling you right now, the scene is not real. It is real, but it's not actually what is being shown.
This means you'll be spared the federal death sentence.
Yeah, show me. It's the... Nice, I love
enough
it.
to convict you a dozen times over.
I love this.
Lest we forget Mason Virtue. You're welcome.
A promise in waiting, isn't it? A promise you intend to keep.
I always keep my promises.
You said the last episode? Did you get a haircut? Did Mads Mikkelsen get a proper haircut to show the time has passed? Okay, I did see the mirror being shattered. Okay, so I'm just gonna immediately say this is someone with issues. Some kind of mental issue situation. He's just like, I just saw some crazy ass piece of artwork and I thought he was sick. And I don't know how, but it's gonna leap into a serial killer. He does have a scar in his upper lip, so. There's something in his ears, I just realized. Hearing aids or something? Or to stop the noise? Was there blood in them? I think there was blood in them. Maybe not. Oh! I was expecting that. Okay, what is what? What? Oh, that's blood dripping from his hands. Maybe from his entire body. What the fuck did you do? What the fuck am I looking? Okay, no, this is not real. There's no way this is real. That might have been real because the scene cut before there was a reveal. Oh fuck, what was that? So maybe this is the antagonist of the new arc. The Great Red Dragon or whatever. Maybe it's gonna be back to something like season 1. Where there's like an actual serial killer we had to figure out and then we also interact with Hannibal. Yo, that's my boy!
Sanguinaccio dolce. Blood and chocolate. That should have been the subtitle of my book. But I promised myself I would never use colons in my titles.
I was about to ask what happened with the fucking trademark of Hannibal the Cannibal.
What is the subject of your new book, Frederick?
The Tooth Fairy.
I think he doesn't like being called a tooth fairy.
It is not as snappy as Hannibal the Cannibal, but he does have a much wider demographic than you do. He's so universal about what he does.
What the fuck does he
Kills
do?
whole families, and in their homes.
Okay.
Strikes at the very core of the American dream.
Okay. Does he bathe in their blood or something?
Everything he writes is about some problem he does not have.
Well, what he's written is going to be your problem. It's not so much an article as it is a rebuttal. It's going to count, Frederick, and it's going to sting.
The young Turk may inspire the old Lithuanian to keep himself interesting.
Okay. Nice. This really does feel like this is a completely new arc. We haven't seen Will yet. So what is the deal with this guy? Okay, so this guy clearly has issues. And was that light coming up from like a womanly shape? Sure, I believe that. Yeah, man. And there came a great red dragon. So is he writing his own like book? So I'm assuming he removes the tooth of all his victims. Hannibal trial begins. Wait, no, okay. Hannibal the Cannibal. Okay, he's focused with Hannibal. There's a connection now. Yeah. Fuck the Tooth Fairy. The Great Red Dragon. Why does Hannibal's cell have to be so stylish? Like, doggies. That it's still good. Will, what's up? What's up, boy? How you been? How you been keeping away from murder and dead bodies? We're gonna see Jack coming in. I swear to God, half the scenes with like Will just doing random shit, it's just Jack coming in and being like, Will, what's up? I deliver a plot to you. And Will is like, oh fuck. I was happy with my dogs. What the fuck have you brought to my plate now? Man, he lives in a cabin in the middle of nowhere with just his dogs. He's in Alaska and he has 50 dogs, a fucking solid snake.
So you don't want to talk about it here?
I don't want to talk about it anywhere. You've got to talk about it, so let's have it. Just don't get out any pictures, because Molly and Walter will be back soon.
Molly and Walter?
I don't think about this anymore. I don't believe I could do it now.
He could. Yo, did Will get a fucking family?
Do you want me to go?
She's trying to convince him to go.
I'd have the satisfaction that you did the right thing.
She might die, by the way. Immediately, I'm telling you right now.
I'll be different when I get back.
I won't.
Well, by the way, I said she's gonna die. I think whenever you see like a important character's family just randomly being introduced or whatever, it's like, okay, I'm worried about them. But the reality is that this is the final season, which also means Will could die. Everybody could die. Even Hannibal in some aspects, as long as it's the final episode. A letter. Oh, he probably got a letter from Hannibal. Dear Will.
We have all found a new life, but our old lives hover in the shadows. Soon enough, I fear Jack Crawford will come knocking. I would encourage you as a friend not to step back through the door he holds open. It's dark on the other side, and madness is waiting.
The fact that Hannibal was like, don't do it. Full moon. That's a lot of blood. Look at those fucking footprints. Holy shit. I mean, okay, yeah, the dude was covered in blood. What the fuck did he do to those families? That's my question. Oh my... Okay, no. He's just imagining it. I mean, that's Will's ability, isn't it? So... I'll be honest, I don't know what is blood and what are strings. Will's having a panic attack. Yeah. We're so swinging! Yeah! It's been so fucking long. We're back to swinging.
The smashing of mirrors begins.
Oh, he smashed every mirror. So he doesn't like what he sees in the mirror. That's important to profiling. And okay, that looks like a smiley face.
I have to touch her.
So there should be handprints.
This is my design.
That was a cool shot, by the way. Oh, the Torchwood Man! It's been almost the end of the show, and I still didn't know his name. And here comes the other guy.
A reasonably intelligent assistant. Mine just showed up. I can't help with your thing. I got a thing.
I don't want to look at that. I don't like the thing with the eyeball.
Central incisors here and here. I mean, the teeth are all crooked. Central incisors got a corner missing. The other central incisor has a groove in it.
A snaggletooth son of a bitch.
And he bites.
How much of the episode is left? Not a lot. Yeah, this feels like this episode is not going to do anything conclusive. Okay, yeah. Well, it's in a motel. Nobody has ever met murder in one of those before. There was a killing in a motel in season 1, and it looked a lot like this one. Wouldn't be surprised if it was the exact same set. Death. Imprisoning me, all that I see, absolute horror. That dog looked demonic for a second.
You were asking about the dog.
Oh, yeah, where's the dog?
The vet called the police. Leeds and his oldest boy took the dog into the vet the afternoon before they were killed.
So the dog wasn't there.
Happened to it.
Please don't worry.
He is worrying about the dog. You're talking to Will Graham.
I have to see Hannibal.
Nice.
Hello, Dr. Lecter.
Hello, Will.
Cut. End. Ah! Man, alright. That was a good episode though. That was a really good episode. Okay. Alright, that was a weird episode to talk about because I really love that episode, but at the same time it's difficult to talk about that episode in like a context of like this is an episode of a show that we've been watching for like 3.5 seasons, because it doesn't feel like it. It feels like you can start at this episode and you'll be good, you know? You wouldn't have all the context that we do, but it really feels like this episode is like, all right, new arc, new arc, first episode, let's go. So yeah, I really like this episode, and I really like what it's setting up. So yeah, I'm glad that I can understand that this is like taken from like a novel, and this is like a new arc, and it's just like, if anything, what we've been watching before the entire time, that was just kind of like the prequel almost, you know? And because it's a prequel, you know that there's gonna be the original story or the sequel. So because of that, you know, okay, you know, it's, how do I explain this? Alright, so I mentioned Kazuma Kiryu while watching this reaction, and I mentioned Yakuza before probably. It's like one of my favorite game franchises ever. And the thing about Yakuza is that game franchise started in like 2005 with Yakuza 1. But then in 2015, they made a prequel called Yakuza 0 that retroactively added a lot of stuff. And then they made a remake of the first game with the stuff that they retroactively added from 0. So it was a little bit weird because it was a weird mishmash of like, this is the old story, so it's like the beginning, but also there's like a couple things that you should know because of the prequel, that if you hadn't seen the prequel, you wouldn't understand, but also it feels like this is completely new and it's the first thing. That's how I feel right now. It feels like this is the OG story, and this is the beginning, and everything I've been watching up until this point was just the prequel that was just there for context. And it's weird to think of it as such, and I shouldn't think of it as such, honestly, because everything that I've been watching up until this point, I don't want to like discredit it and say that it's like, oh, it wasn't that important because it wasn't like the full story. And even if it was written in such a manner, which I don't think it is, it would be weird because that was like 33 episodes and then we get like 6 episodes of the actual story. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. So, but that's kind of the feeling I'm getting a little bit, you know? But ironically enough, Yakuza 0 is the best Yakuza game. Yakuza 0 is better than all the other ones that come afterwards, even though it's the prequel that sets everything up, you know? So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel right now. And honestly, I'm down for it. Honestly, I'm super down for it because I just, how do I put this? I just enjoy like a new beginning. I just enjoy whenever a story is like, all right, we're done with that shit, but we're going to keep going and it's going to be different. We're going to be doing something new. And that's the way things are going to be now. But you're being rewarded for having been with us for 33 episodes. Because now you know these characters, now you are attached to them. You know who they like, who they don't like, what their personalities are, and what their entire relationship and story is, right? That's fantastic. History, sorry, similar words, Spanish. I love that so much because, God, I'm just referencing all the things that I like now. But recently in Netflix, the latest season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is my favorite show, got adapted into an animation. So part 6, Stone Ocean, just came out. And it's not the first third of it just came out. But I was just thinking about JoJo because JoJo is a legacy show. It's a show that things change a lot and you get new story arcs and new characters and everything's different. But you are rewarded the longer you watch it. So if you stuck with it from the beginning, you start to understand all the like references, and not just references, but you start to understand all the like, oh, this the intrinsic of the plot and how everything is connected and how everything circles back to this thing, you know? And while you could start like halfway into it, you wouldn't get the attachment and the rewarding experience that you would get from watching it from the beginning. That's how I feel right now. I feel like if somebody told me you can start watching Hannibal at season 3 episode 8, that would work actually. If you started watching Hannibal in this episode, you would get a story arc that would make sense, okay? And this is me saying this without having seen the future episodes, right? But this is how this episode feels like. It feels like you can start here and it kind of makes sense, you know? And I suppose this is a question for anyone who has already seen the show. Does it apply what I'm saying? Does it work like that? Like, if you start watching Hannibal here, you would understand this story arc. Like, it would make sense. It would be a completely serviceable story. But you wouldn't have it. The context, the history, the knowledge, and the attachment that you would get from watching the previous fucking whatever amount of episodes there was. Because that's how I feel right now. That actually makes me feel really happy. It makes me feel really happy because it feels like I made it. I made it through the prologue. The prologue that was 90% of the story. I made it through it. And now I can watch the actual thing that happens afterwards, you know? That's how I feel about it, you know? And it's like this weird feeling of like, I've been through it, man, you know? Like, I've seen it. I've seen everything. And now I'm being rewarded for seeing that, you know? Because now it's like Will comes in, he's 3 years later, he has some kind of weird... Does he have a partner? I don't know what that woman was to him, but let's assume that it was a partner of some sorts. I'm not going to say he's married. Maybe he is, but I'm going to say partner in some way. And her previous partner died because they refer to his dad was taller than me, so he probably knew them before he died, and then he died, and then he decided to move in with her or something and take care of her dogs or whatever. So sure, that's happening with my boy Will, but like, oh my god, this also feels like Metal Gear Solid. I said that for a second too. Metal Gear Solid, it's a video game from like 97, but the way that game is the third game in the entry of the franchise, but everyone plays it as the first one, and it works as the first one. But that game does enough to give you like context about previous events and things that matter to the characters. That probably is what watching this episode first would be like, you know? You would have a general understanding of what's going on because characters say things and they express themselves, and you would be like, oh, I think I follow. So this character, Will Graham, he's like a really good investigator, and they need his skills, but he doesn't want to do it because he hates it, or it makes him feel bad, and everyone is like, oh, you shouldn't do it, but then he's like, I have to do it though because these people are gonna die, and he's like, oh man, he has a connection to this criminal behind bars, Hannibal Lecter. Maybe they care about each other to some degree, or maybe there's some mind games going on. This character, Jack Crawford, he seems like he's very strict and he's rigid, and he's like, okay, you gotta do this, but at the same time he looks like he cares, you know? He's like, we gotta do this, but I hate asking you that you do it, but we gotta, man, you know? Like, you get a general understanding of like everything if you just watch this episode, and that's something that makes me very happy. Something that makes me very happy, actually, and I don't know why. It's just, it gives me the feeling that I get fucking watching JoJo sometimes, and that's a good thing because JoJo's my favorite show. All right, I'm geeking out over dumb shit. Let's talk about what actually happened in the episode, okay? So, time skip. 3 years later, Will's just chilling somewhere. I don't know where it was. Let's say he was in Alaska with 50 dogs, which is exactly the backstory that Solid Snake has in Metal Gear Solid 1. And he's been out of it, and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore, man. I feel like shit every time. And then his previous colonel, Jack Crawford, comes in and he's like, we need your skills once more. And he's like, fuck my life. He goes and does it, and he hates it. And okay, there's a new serial killer running around, and the serial killer is the Great Red Dragon. They call him the Tooth Fairy. He hates it. He's the Great Red Dragon. The Great Red Dragon seems to have some kind of mental illness of some kind, you know. He continues to hear stuff and see stuff and hallucinate stuff. So I'm not a professional. I don't know what the fuck he has going on, but he has some kind of mental instability. So it could be, I don't know, schizophrenia. It could be maybe not DID, but something that's not too crazy for what we've seen in the show already. You know, we've seen many killers in the show that have something going on. So this person clearly has something like that. They saw a painting that was called The Great Red Dragon on, I think it was Time magazine, and they were like, yo, that shit looks sick. And then he had that tattooed on his back, and he was like, yo, that's sick. So what is the deal with the teeth? That's a question. I suppose we'll figure that out later as we go on through the episodes. Maybe we'll figure out what the deal with the teeth are, because we saw him, like, I think it was him at least, at like a weird underground Asian kind of shop, like a Chinese kind of shop, and they were giving him teeth, like dentures, that maybe they took from that woman. By the way, ironically, when I said dentures just now, I bit my tongue, so that was not fun. He also had dentures in his like house. Maybe it's the same dentures. It could be. Maybe he takes the dentures from his victims, but I don't think he did. I could be wrong though. I don't know what he does to the bodies. So they said that he bites them, but okay, so he came in, shoot the woman, slice the dude's neck, shoot the kids, execution, just pop, dead. So everybody died, and then he put like glass on their eyes and their mouths. The shape of the glasses and the position, it kind of looked like they were smiling, like they were happy. I don't know if that was something that is gonna matter, but that's the impression I got. But we don't actually see him like biting anyone, but we did see him like crawl away, but not crawl, like he was standing outside of the house looking at like the full moon, I think, and he was like covered in blood, like completely covered, to the point that I saw that and I was like, okay, that's not real. And then it cut away and I was like, okay, I think that was real actually. So it's like, all right, he showered in their blood. And the thing is that, like, okay, I'm gonna say this, and please don't be mad at me, but like when Will's looking at the crime scene and there's a fuck ton of like red quartz, what was that? Because I feel like I might be uncultured enough in order to know if that is like procedure of like crime scene investigation, you know? Maybe they do like a bunch of courts when there's a crime scene in order to like to be like, all right, there's blood splatter there and there and there and they all came from here. That could mean something, you know? That could be a thing. Part of me is like, okay, maybe that is actually part of the crime. Maybe he like, I don't know, like for a second I thought like he somehow shredded their bodies so badly that they all became like a string of red, and then he just fucking just pull all the strings apart and just tie them all across the fucking room, and all those strings that used to be a person. But I don't think you can do that. That sounds like it would be really difficult to do. So I don't think he did that. And also because we see the woman's body later when they take like the thumbprint from the eyeball. So sure. So I don't know what the strings were, but maybe it's just police procedure, crime investigation, normal shit, you know? I probably haven't seen enough like crime drama shows in order to know if that's a normal thing or not. But yes, I did watch like 8 seasons of Criminal Minds this one time, you know? I used to be like really into it. It was like really good trashy TV because I enjoyed the like psychological aspect of it, of like profiling. I did enjoy that a lot. But the problem with Criminal Minds is that like you reach a point when you're like, all right, this is gonna happen. And it happens and you're like, yeah, I knew it. It's like, because there's eventually a point where you're like, all right, I understand exactly what the like fucking pattern on an episode to episode basis is, you know? Like I can absolutely read exactly what this is gonna go and eventually just get bored of it, you know? And then cast members started to leave because they were like, I've been this shit for like 7 years, man. I got other shit to do. I don't want to spend like a fucking fifth of my life doing Criminal Minds, man. I got other things I could probably want to do. So, and when that started happening, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do the same. Actually, I would rather just leave and do something else with my life, like watch JoJo. Man, we've been like this episode didn't have a lot of Hannibal in it, and I've been talking about this episode for like almost 20 minutes. I didn't mention like Hannibal like once, but like Hannibal appears. Okay, so Chilton did write this book, Hannibal the Cannibal. I'm happy about that. He did write that, and apparently it's filled with lies, because of course it would. It's fucking Chilton. What the fuck does Chilton know? But what ended up happening is that everyone thinks that Hannibal is crazy. Like, people think, oh, Hannibal's crazy, so they sentence him to, like, being in a, like, institution for crazy people, even though he already is in one. Am I wrong in thinking that Hannibal is not in an institution that's literally for the criminally insane? Which does mean insane. So, wouldn't him being moved from a facility to the other make no sense if it is the exact type of facility? I mean, it could be wrong, but that could be like a little detail that it's like in the book. He wasn't here. He's being moved to another facility, but the original facility wasn't the Chilton facility for the criminal insane. Maybe it was something different. I don't know. Explain that to me later if it makes any sense. It probably doesn't. Probably just a minor detail that I'm just being hung up about, and I'm probably gonna forget by the time you hear this. But yeah, Hannibal is being moved to an institution where they think is crazy, but everyone who knows Hannibal knows that he's not crazy. That's just the way he is. He's just like that, you know? So yes, that's the thing that's happening. I do like the scenes where Hannibal is talking to other people and imagining that he's like in his study eating food, and it's just like everything's perfect, and it's just like that's just inside his mind. Because I do think he did say this one time when he was with Will that like if he was ever to be caught, he would like replay stuff in his mind. He would just imagine what it would be like, what his normal life would be like, but inside of a cell, and that would make sense. And that would be a really good superpower, wouldn't it? Just the ability to replay good shit in your mind, you know, just the ability to be like, all right, hold on, I'm gonna watch a movie right now, and then just do that for like an hour and a half, and then you're like, that was great. Back to the Future slaps, dude. That would be really fun if you could do that. I mean, I say that, but I think that people that have perfect memory, they probably don't live full fun lives. You know, I'll say that. So, yeah, maybe not. Okay. I was really happy to see Torchwood Boys back. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, you don't know who the fuck do I refer when I say the Torchwood Boys? I mean the two investigators, Prince and whatever the name of the other dude is. I call them the Torchwood Boys because their interactions remind me of Torchwood interactions, you know? Those characters are like comic relief in a drama show, you know? And they're useful. They do useful stuff. But in the middle of doing useful stuff, they throw a joke or two, and their interactions are always funny between one and the other. And it's almost like, what is the name of the comedy, like the type of Japanese humor? Manzai. Okay, is it manzai? Yeah, the Tsukomi and the Bokeh. So you have the two investigators, Prince, and whatever the name of the other guy is, the young guy with the beard. So Prince is the Tsukomi, which is the straight man, and the other guy is the Bokeh, also known as the funny man. So this is a type of comedy in Japan, and it's like one of the most popular types of comedy in Japan, and it's also like a type of comedy that does translate really well, and it's essentially just having someone that's the serious person on the scene, and then you have the other person who's the idiot in the scene, and by having those two clash with one another, you create really funny scenes. And that's the role that those dudes fit into the show, because every time it's just like, oh, we have the forensic investigators, they're gonna give us useful information, and in the middle of it they're gonna do some funny stuff, and usually it's the idiot who does something stupid and the other guy who reacts to it, and it's just like, yeah, there we go. We have a manzai duo over here, dude. You have the Tsukomi and you have the Bokeh, and there you go. That makes complete sense. But I call them the Torchwood Boys. I will never learn the names. I'm just gonna call them the Torchwood Boys. So yeah, I think that's it. I was just really happy to see them again because this one's so long. Like it's like this feels like a return to normalcy. Also, that's also why this episode feels so good. It's not just a new beginning, but it's also like a hint to the early beginning of the show, you know? It's just like Jack Crawford comes to Will Graham and it's like, hey man, we're gonna need your help in order to solve these crimes or whatever, and he's like, oh, I'll help you out, and then we do forensics, we do investigations, we do crime scenes. It's like, yes, it's been so long since we're doing that, but like it's so cool to do that again, you know? That feels so good. So I'm very happy to see that again because it is like a familiar thing. It's like a nostalgia thing. It's like, oh man, it's been like 5 months since I saw this, you know? So this feels good. I'm happy about this. I'm very excited for this second half of season 3. It's a completely new story. And the thing about the story is that because it's not a prequel and because it's the final season, it means that anything is on the table. It means that my boys could die. Everyone could die. Honestly, that would make a lot of sense, because that's also the thing, is that I think there are more books. I think people told me that there are more books, but this is the final season. And they also told me that this season does change a lot of things, and I've seen them change a lot of things. So yes, anything is on the table. So we'll see how this season ends. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next week. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this reaction episode to Hannibal. If you would like to catch the next 2 episode reactions, so up to episode 10, you can do so over at the Patreon. Check out the link in the description below for that. Also social media links, full-length reactions, all the fun stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.